Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt. I'm just going to very quickly fix our overlay here. We've had some minor technical issues this evening. Nothing too serious, but as a result, we're getting started a little bit later than normal, so thanks for sticking around. This is session 5 of... Hang on, sorry, I'm really having to think about this now. Session 5 of Mecha Paladins, which is our ongoing Mecha campaign. I like, before we started, I was like, wow, everyone's where they should be. And now everyone is in a different spot.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh my God. No, Johnny.
Jonathan, it's not your fault. It's Matt's fault for saying everyone's where they should be.
Yep, it was absolutely my fault because I was like,
do
wow,
that.
this is going great.
Let's throw it to the fates and see what they have to say.
Yeah. Okay. Matt, you're somewhere. There you are. You're behind John eating a burger. Hang on.
Dude, I want in on that burger.
I know. That burger looks
Oh
incredible.
Couldn't tell
Oh
what
my
it was
God.
at first. I'm like, is that a gigantic brownie that he's eating?
What kind of bun you got on that,
It
Matt?
looked like it was a brownie.
It looks like a pretzel bun. Is that a pretzel
Because
bun?
it is, and I couldn't make it because I had to rush home today. I ordered some takeaway, and it's a fried chicken sandwich, actually.
Oh, hell yeah. That's even better. Oh, my God. That sounds incredible. Okay, so...
Right, this is a 15-minute game tonight.
Yeah, this is now a mukbang channel. We're just going to watch and listen to Matt eat this fried chicken sandwich in front of us. I'm going to make his camera full screen, and we're all just
Mechs and Munchies.
Oh, Mechs and
open our own
Munchies.
YouTube.
There we go. The new show on A Fistful of Dice where we talk about mechs and eat fried chicken sandwiches. But in all seriousness, this is Mecha Paladins, our ongoing Mecha campaign. Last time, the Paladins ventured into a debris field in the Nidus Nebula in search of a experimental mech carrier that they had coordinates for, left to Tulip from her grandmother. They ventured into the debris field, and there they found this experimental carrier known as Okami, the big wolf, but they also encountered a massive kaiju-like creature, this Leviathan, that dwelled within the debris field. They did battle with this Leviathan and managed to best it, and also managed to board the Okami, which has this sort of super state-of-the-art swiveling hangar system that has catapult launchers for all of the mechs and can just fire them out into space at lightning speeds. And we ended the session with everyone inside of the Okami sort of getting their bearings. So, the debris field in the Nidus Nebula, this belt of rock and ice and metal, glimmers with the luminescence from these sort of gaseous formations, these swirling formations within the nebula. Within the debris field, there is a glimmer, and we zoom in on this gleam of steel, and we see indeed the Okami, this bulky but still fairly streamlined in structure and certainly in function mecha carrier. This carrier has a strange swiveling hangar system with 5 separate hangars, 1 hangar for each mecha in the Paladin squadron. We last saw the Paladins inside the bridge, and that is where we find them. It has only been a few moments since you boarded the Okami. Your mechs sit snug inside the hangars. And Tulip, you've just sat yourself down in the captain's chair, the command chair in the center of this bridge. You're sitting there and you see around you your comrades. You see Zasha and Mattie. Mora your commander, technically, and Regael. All of you stand in this bridge, the lights of the consoles gleaming off of the polished steel flooring, and just listen to the almost soothing, low droning hum of the engines and the grav generators and the air that is circulating through this thing. Tulip, what is going through your mind right now as you're sitting there in this command chair? What happens next now?
I believe, if I recall correctly, and it's a little hazy, I said, let's go home. And, or something to that effect. And after saying so, Tulip would look around at everyone equally, but then like finally at the commander and say, wait, where is home? For us. This ship was clearly made for the machines that we pilot. We are a part of something now. And I don't really understand it, but my nan was too. But Commander, where the hell are we going? Do we go back?
There's a moment with like dramatic music and the characters just kind of looking at each other as right off the bat we jump into some serious like existential questions. Where is home for us? And I think that Mora's going to look around at the Okami, the inside of this ship, and ponder that exact same question. He doesn't have an answer, and you can tell that on his face. But he looks down the far passage which leads to the hangars and says, talking to you but still looking down there, to your question, where do we go now? I think he says, no, I think we are home. Where do you think we should go?
Well, and Matt, if you could just give me a cue as to the pronunciation of that colony that we have been spending time in.
Oh, yes. You have been at
Hedgehog Land.
Hedgehog Land.
Hedgehog Station.
Hedgehog Station. No, the place that you are at is called Nova Locus.
I would say, well, except for the guy at the top, we met a lot of nice people at Nova Locust. Seems like we can really make an impact there. I don't think I'm ready to go back into the war. I don't know about all of you. She looks directly at Mattie. But I don't really know what's going on, and I don't know what our place is in all of that. But what I do know is that those people welcomed us. They helped us. Without them, we wouldn't have found this ship. We at least owe it to ourselves and to them to return and say, hello. Maybe offer a helping hand. Find our place for a little while.
Yes, 100% yes to this.
Regael would speak up and say, yeah, listen, we just found a secret military ship that's on the same level as our mechs, and you want to take it back to the place where we just tried to escape from. That makes no sense.
I mean, honor dictates we should, though. We are sort of loyal to that person.
Were we escaping? I thought we were just trying to find our ship.
I mean, when you leave in an inconspicuous manner without letting the other people know, I would assume that would be an escape.
But if you come back, then it was just an errand.
Do you trust
Again.
Janice, Mattie?
No, I mean, I don't really trust. I mean, but honestly, what are our options, right? I mean, we go back to the try to find the Dominion, and then what? We go back. They ask us where we've been and why we didn't report back, and we, our orders were just to go out here, right? Those were our last orders. I don't really have much love lost for Saxifrage, but I mean, those were our orders, and we're here. We found this place. This seems to have brought us here. Perhaps we can start digging around on this ship as we make our way back to at least safe harbor, because there seems to be some pretty nasty stuff out here.
The director did send us out here. These coordinates were not a coincidence. My background, my connection to this, not a coincidence. I know it sounds crazy, but geez, I just wish we could talk to her right now. Ask her what to do.
The camera pans and shows Zasha actually standing with this mostly blue hedgehog still in this outstretched hand, looking around the control terminals to see if there is a port for the crystal hanging around her neck. She's still wearing, from the neck down, the space suit that she always wears, so no one can see the necklace, but she actually fishes a thumb in and pulls it outside of the suit and tries to compare if there's anywhere to put this thing in.
Yeah, you stand up and take a brief look around, and there's this moment where the camera is focused on you, and then the foreground goes out of focus, and as the background comes into focus, you look, and there's the port right there on the front console, next to the sensor array on the bridge.
As Zasha is walking towards this sensor array and the port for the crystal, she actually says aloud, very loudly, as if to draw attention, almost like a drill sergeant, "The longer we wait to report, the less likely the prince will be to forgive our traveling this far. But," and they see her kind of slinking this chain out around her hair and out of this cumbersome suit, "maybe this will work." And she slides the crystal inside the port.
There's this satisfying as it clicks into place and turns just slightly, and from this port, these sort of subdermal veins start glowing outwards, just spiderwebbing outwards from this port, eventually overtaking the entire console and the bridge itself, glowing this bright blue for a moment, and then the light fades and then collects in the center of the room, and all of you are looking upon Director Saxifrage, or at least a hologram of her.
I snap a salute.
Paladin Rain would yeep and literally launch herself out of the captain's chair and would be behind it, just slowly peeking her head up.
Under his breath, Mattie says, "Hello again, Warden."
And Saxifrage is looking at her hands and her little holographic fingers. She looks to all of you. "Hello, Paladins. It is good to see you again. If I have been loaded into this ship, then it means that I am either dead or otherwise compromised. What happened to me?
Enemy fire. You died on the station.
Tintagel was attacked then. Unfortunate, but I taught you all to adapt, and you have adapted splendidly. You have reached this ship. You have taken command of it as we planned.
Regael would say, "Do go on, as you planned."
There was a plan to remove the Paladins from the program. It's been in the works for many years. And it seems that it has been fast-tracked. The attack was not part of the plan, but it was a possibility. I'm sorry that I could not be with you. And in a way, I still am not. This data crystal contains my mind, everything I knew up to a point. This version of me is outdated. The data here is fragmented. But I can attempt to answer questions as well as I can. I assume you have many.
Yes. Main one, who exactly are we working for?
Technically, for all intents and purposes, you are Paladins of the Neo-Dominion. But
And
we did not see that future for you.
A lot of talk about we. We who?
Myself, several others within the program. Namely, the maker of this ship, one Tulip Cho.
Nan?
Yes.
How did you know Nan? She's still like hovering a little bit above the chair.
I knew your grandmother very well. She was the most brilliant engineer. We hired her on in the early stages of the Paladin project to oversee Project Halberd, the creation of this ship. The idea was simple. And it might seem contradictory, but the Paladin program was started as a way to demilitarize the Neo-Dominion.
You did a hell of a job.
There's a chuckle from this hologram, this sort of static-laced chuckle. Best laid plans and all of that. The idea was disbanding the tens of thousands of Mecha and relying instead on small, elite teams to defend us from threats within and without. No more armies. No more wars. Precise, surgical precision, rather than years of unending battle. This
No
was
more
the idea, at
wars?
least. Well, of course, we cannot foresee the outcome of these things, but like all projects of this scope, it soon got away from us. Project Halberd was sidelined. The Paladins were seen more as blunt weapons. Knights to lead the charge rather than be the charge. In addition to, not instead of. Your grandmother, she left the program a long time ago. But she finished this ship.
So that explains this. And she'll kind of turn her head towards the scratched out logo on the backsplash of the bridge. She really was making a difference, wasn't she?
She was trying. If we had...
Are you sorry, she just says, and you? Are you trying? Or are you just a program of the Neo Dominion? A program of this Project Halberd?
You better believe she is.
I actually have a question about that. You said that the Neo Dominion didn't believe in what you guys were doing. It seems like they scrapped your project or sidelined it, which typically means that they defunded you. Yet the ship is built. Our mechs were running, and till just about a few days ago, we were still in training. How?
We secured private funding. Families in the Dominion who saw the same future that we saw. Families like the Bastion family. They were chief supplier of funds to ensure that this happened.
And Regael actually will take a step back as if he's just been slapped and say, sorry, you said the Bastion family funded this?
That is correct. Project Halberd was almost exclusively funded by their fortune.
But this is a weapon. This is an actual military armada that you guys are building, super soldiers. Not necessarily to end war, but to, I don't think, and he'd look at everybody and, never mind, continue.
Demilitarization is a lofty idea, a lofty goal, one that we could not see an outcome for without some sort of protection. The arrival of the ionic primacy in our system heightens this. The Dominion needs defenders. It needs guardians. The fact that the Terran Collective exists means that we are not doing our job. It means that we are squashing the people rather than holding them up. We came to this system in hopes of a better future for our people, and yet here we are, ages later, generations later, and we fight still.
And you're saying that more military power would somehow help the people?
No. Smarter military power. Rather than 5,000 soldiers, 5
kids. 5 children. Who had no
Zasha
choice.
Cuts her eyes back at Mattie.
Yes, it is unfortunate that the Geist system must be installed on pre-adolescents.
You'll have to excuse me, but when I was 10 or so and I came to this program, I cared a little bit more about my toys than I cared about the greater goals of the Neo Dominion. I can't say that I was probably the most willing participant in your great plan for much less brutal military strategy.
It was a point of contention among us, one that caused great rifts that remain to this day. I apologize for my part in it. I know that a few of you chose this, and those of you that did were much too young to make an informed decision, and yet here you are. You have a choice
Director?
now.
Director, do you really believe that there can be an end to fighting? A real one? In our existence? Not just the lives of us. I know we're young, but we'll be old one day. And the people in the underground, they get old too. They toil every day until they're 20, until they have kids, until they have grandkids, and their grandkids start the cycle all over again. That's what it's like in the subterranean. And that's what I've learned about war and fighting. That's what you taught us. Do you really believe?
She can't tell you anything about war, Tulip. She's known nothing but it. She doesn't know what peace looks like. You have to have peace in your heart to understand what peace looks like.
And Regael
He
would
has
say,
more
Mattie, nobody would know what war doesn't look like. We've been at war with ourselves since we got to this system. Period. All the Neo Dominion has done is fight. On and on and on and on and on. Nobody in this system knows what peace looks like. But
You are right. None of us knows
I have
peace.
a question, Director. The Neo Dominion knew you guys were doing this. They knew that you were going behind their back and continuing the operation. I know you probably don't know. Your memory probably isn't up to date, but if you had to guess about who actually attacked us, would you say that it was the Neo Dominion that attacked us or someone else?
Our branch of the Paladin project was just that, a single branch. There are others. There are other Paladins out there. There are other projects not overseen by myself. If I had to guess, I would say that somehow the Dominion found out what we were doing. That we had plans to remove you from the project. That we had continued Project Halberd with private funding. It was not Terran collectives that attacked us. Most assuredly, it was Neos.
So not only did you guys do all of this against the Dominion's orders, but now you've branded us all traitors.
That is correct.
Tulip would like, her eyes would kind of be a little bit watery, which is not a surprise to anyone, and she'd be looking at Mattie as soon as the word traitors came out, instinctively, not directing any kind of conversation.
I would just reach a subtle hand over and grab hers behind the chair so that nobody can see, for her sake, and just give it a squeeze.
She takes a deep breath, her eyes close for a second, and kind of the tears sparkle out, and she rights herself and she stands up. Well, if you got us into this mess, I do hope you prepared us for what's coming.
She didn't even know what was going to happen to us. She's dead. She's literally it doesn't matter.
Three, she's right there. And she gets choked out, kind of in the denial.
If we're going to get ourselves out of this, I don't know if we can rely on her.
Threes is
I
right.
hate to say it, but Mattie was right. They've been lying to us literally this entire time. We're not a part of the Neo-Dominion. They branded us as traitors. If we listened to her, then they would be literally tricking us into doing exactly what they want us to do. So I guess at this point we have to decide whether or not we're going to keep following whatever plan or scheme they had cooked up for us super soldiers, or if we're going to figure this out ourselves.
Well, Threes, you were the first to point the gun. Why don't you tell us what's happening? Why don't you tell us what we're supposed to do? She's all we got.
She's a ghost, Tulip. She's just a memory.
And she isn't all we got. And Threes would look around at all of you and he'd say, we got ourselves here. We got to the system. We figured out how to get here. It was through our own ingenuity that we even found this base. They might have planted the seeds, but it's literally us that got ourselves this far. And I think we can get ourselves much farther without them, just like we have been.
I think that we have one thing up our sleeves. Besides the ship, obviously. As much as I hate that it was done to us, we are powerful. Our mechs are scary powerful. We are talented, and we are one with our machines. Very few within the entirety of the Neo-Dominion have that kind of technology. They're afraid of us. They always have been, they always will be. We can use that fear. That's the only reason why they don't want us independent. We're a dog without a chain. We have to, I guess a wolf, right? Well, anyway, we have to capitalize on that, because otherwise we're just going to be running scared from one patch of stardust to the next.
Director, one more question. Would Tulip be proud of what Mattie just said? Is that why she left the program?
The brightest spots in my memory, the brightest spots in my life, was that way because of Tulip Cho. She was the best of us. And I loved her. We all did, but I really did. She would have been proud of all of you. I know that for certain. Though my data is incomplete.
She just nods silently, but standing tall. And she walks 2 paces forward sits back down in the chair. So you're on our team then?
As much as I can be, and as much as you'll have me, I will help however I can. I gave you the coordinates to find this nebula. I have one more set of coordinates. What you do with them is entirely up to you. We know for certain there was at least one other installation for the Paladin program. Vogue Station. It's distant, far from here, the other side of the system. But I was always of the mind that if we could get you 5 out, that it would fall to us to find the others, to get them out as well, to give them the chance to make their own choice. The coordinates are here, inside the computer. If you choose to follow them, that is up to you.
Tulip would swivel her chair kind of in a way that is 360 degrees to the point where she looks at all of you and then is back at the center and says, I guess we could extend our leave from New Home. Maybe for a little bit longer. What do you say, Commander?
Commander looks at Regael, who was just... It seemed for a moment like Regael was going to speak or say something. And so Mora grants a subtle pause.
Regael would say, I don't know if extending our leave would be the correct terminology. I don't believe that we can ever return back to how anything was. We can't step foot in the Neo Dominion now, at least not as soldiers. And on top of that, even if we were to go to the coordinates that are on the ship, we don't even have a full crew. We just have 5 pilots. Once we leave on our mechs, who's going to watch the ship? And if we want a crew, we also need money to supply that. We need food, we need resources, we need fuel. And I think I might be the right person that can provide those things. And for like the first time that you guys would be aware of, he would like reach up and like take off his mask. And there wouldn't be like anything like abnormal about his features. But he would say, my name is Pax Bastion. And as you guys heard, apparently my father funded this project. And before I joined here, my father and my mother and most of my estate was burned to the ground by, if any of you watch the news, you would call them insurgents. But I know for a fact, as the sole survivor of the attack, that it was the Neo Dominion that killed them. And after listening to the director, I think I have a good idea why. But my estate has been open to me for a long time. I think it's about time that I reclaimed it and all the resources that it has. And I think I could personally fund our campaign, for better or worse.
There is the possibility I mean, obviously, you'll have money, but if we need people to go to that are going to be discreet and maybe away from the Dominion's eye, Janus might be the best resource for us. He might have us do the odd job here and there, but those people in that colony, they're just sitting there waiting for something to do. I'm sure there's some very talented folks there, and Nan obviously made a name there for herself, so perhaps there's some well wishes on our side there.
They're a clear third party. They clearly don't have any connection to the Neo Dominion or any other side for that matter. They look like they keep to themselves, but are running at bare bones. If we can offer some of them who are smart and creative some money and funding, I'm sure a bunch of them would be willing to jump on board.
I think in the gravity of the conversation, you might have overlooked this small detail, but the very small Tulip Cho in her oversized jacket would have shuffled away from her seat and would have walked kind of in a roundabout way to get kind of behind you, Threes, and would be tugging on the sleeve of your shirt.
He would look down.
Yeah, and she would look up and say, "That chair doesn't have a name on it. It's your turn. I trust you with this one. Just like the commander trusts me. This next chapter, it's on you. I'm sorry I challenged you, Paladin Threes."
No, it's... He would look at the mask that's in his hand, and he would look at the chair, and he'd say, you know, the whole reason I started to call myself Regael is because my mom used to tell me a story about the Angel of Vengeance. And when I saw my parents die,
Oh no, that's
What,
the
worst.
what a
the
spot.
moment.
worst
Yeah.
possible
To
spot
freeze.
drop.
Oh my god, cliffhanger of the year.
No. I'm
My
like,
cat walked over my keyboard in the process.
John was staring
man.
off pensively,
Wistfully.
my dad always
waiting.
spouted.
Yeah.
And I
1,000
would get
parsecs
Oh,
there.
oh. Maybe
John, you there?
Paladin Threes, come in.
Shh. Tugging at that shirt. Tugging at that shirt.
Regael!
I mean,
no.
can we take a bio break while you
Yes,
get
we
the
can
OBS back
absolutely
in
take,
order?
Yep, we're gonna take a quick
Battle
bio break.
break.
We will be right back and get the tech issues sorted. Please stick around, everybody.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to move everybody around again. This is a nightmare, a waking nightmare. Hey everybody, we're back. Let me move everybody around really quick. Paladin
Your
Rapper's
hell-
in the right place.
Your
Paladin
hell
Vogue
is
in the
going
right
to be
place.
rearranging frames.
Yeah, it
Rearranging
is.
frames in OBS.
Satan is gonna be like,
but
you gotta do OBS. I'm like, fuck, dude, why?
You're gonna get them like just right, and then they're gonna reset again.
and then Satan's going to leave and then come back in, or turn Satan's own video off.
Yeah, man, devil, why you gotta be such a dick all the time?
So
Okay.
if I turn off my video now,
Yes, you will be Satan.
yes, you will be kicked from the campaign.
Yes, exactly.
Kicked out.
So before we went on break, Paladin 3s, please continue, if you would, please.
So yeah, as Threes was saying.
Last.
So when I watched my family die, I told myself that I would cast off all the things that my father used to say about pacifism. Our family, the Bastions, we believe strongly in the defense of the people. We're one of the only families in the Neo-Dominion that had the right to deny service, to go to war, unless our district was immediately in danger. But my father was also a very strong politician and believed that there was no reason to fight if it meant people were going to get hurt. And I believed that when I was a kid. But when I saw them murdered, I swore that I would throw all that away and I would seek vengeance for the both of them. But yeah, here we are. I wore this mask and took on a whole completely different identity so I wouldn't taint my family's legacy. So that when I bloodied my hands with unnecessary violence, that no one would ever look back on the Bastion name and match my name with theirs. But I mean, it's a little ironic that my father is technically the one that gave me the tools to do exactly what I thought would tarnish our name. I don't know if I should be the one to sit in that seat. Even before I got enlisted here, I've done a lot of things that I'm not very proud of. And you are all much better people, I think, than I am. I don't think I should be the one to lead us anywhere.
From the very beginning, when this all started, it has been more than clear who our leader is. I look to Mora, and I see the unlit cigar in Mora's mouth. and I take out still having my repair stuff on me. I take out a blowtorch and I light it. Despite the fact that I might not have always listened, this was what he was trained for. If we are resting our hopes and our lives on the word of this this ghost inside of a stone, that ghost put a lot of faith and a lot of time into Mora. No one here is ready for that chair, period. But only one of us was made for it. I mean, this is Tulip's legacy, absolutely. And at the end of the day, I will respect this as a living a living legacy of her Nan. But we have one commander, and that is Raptor. And if we don't like what he says, there's more of us in him, so that we can beat the shit out of him and he can just, deal with it. So
yeah, we can kick your ass.
Yeah. So sit in the goddamn chair. Press whatever buttons. Tell us what buttons we need to press. We obviously we have a couple of options. We can either go to this station, or we can hit up Janice before we go and hopefully figure that out. But there's one person who can do that, and that's you.
The cigar sits lit, freshly lit, and the bottom of you see the bottom of Mora's eyes are just welled up a little bit with these cartoon-like tears, animated tears, and but they're sucked back in, and he says, "A hallmark of a good leader, the director taught me, was to listen to the people you're leading. And I have not done a great job at that. I will not take back the chair. Cho, it's yours. But yes, this squad is mine. And right now, I need a minute alone with the director. We can move to, we can go back to Nova Locus after this, because," and he says something very surprising here, "Mattie is right. We could use that place. We could use those people. We could fulfill our mission, put an end to war, but not in the way the Neo-Dominion expected. We can use ourselves, an army of 5,000 wrapped into 5. If we start with Nova Locus, as Regael mentioned, and then reclaim Regael's presumably sizable inheritance, we could be a force to be reckoned with. Again, I need a minute with the director."
7 minutes. Oh, sorry. Yes. There are so many people saying I'm right today. It's a good day. Well, all right. Listen, do you want to take this call here? Because I'm gonna check out the mess situation on this ship if you don't quite mind.
Hey,
think
Mattie,
there might be
before you
some-
go, actually, I have a project for you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Love a project.
Yeah, we can talk while we walk, I guess.
Sure.
Out of her oversized military jacket, Tulip would scribble in like red permanent marker on the chair that everyone has told her is indisputably hers. Tulip Cho with a little XO, and she would kind of follow the others.
when everyone else leaves the bridge, Zasha will step out and turn around and face the door as it closes and wait.
The hologram of Director Saxifrage flickers slightly as the door closes and then looks to you, Mora. It is good to see you, Mora.
Mora steps closer to the hologram of Saxifrage and says, I'm going to keep this quick. It has been years since the Neo-Dominion took me in. He sees in his mind's eye an exploding shuttle, his mother holding an amulet that's around her neck, and now it cuts and he's now holding it. Mora's holding it now, and it's just half of it is melted down, this metal. It's been a long time since I became Mora. A code name at first, but I've embraced it. You've taught me to. Or whatever host that you were drawn from taught me. I don't know what's in your memory or in your archive, but I have two questions. Number one, my identity before I became Mora. That's still gone, right? It's not hidden in some stone or in some memory of some crystalline data, right?
I did as you asked. You don't exist anywhere else.
Good. And her, and he flashes, he sees for a moment the remarkably similar features of his sister, holding her kitty, her black, like, beautiful, gorgeously coated cat that reaches out and claws at him. Ow! He says, is she still alive?
The hologram flickers. Yes.
Is she still Terran?
As far as my databanks show.
He nods and he says to this shell of his former director, do you have anything else for me? Inside your whatever you are.
Mora, there is more to this than even I know. And nothing is as it seems. Tread carefully. The layers of deception have been built up over many generations.
He walks over and says, thanks for the training. And he activates a switch on the console, and I assume she flickers away.
Yeah, and as you say, thanks for the training, she says, it is now complete. And then she fizzles out, and there's this, like, almost like a flame, like sparks from a flame. This energy kind of dissipates into the air. Almost like she's tangible, just barely.
Everyone would hear a voice on the intercom soon. We have 1 hour before we make for Paladin 3's home to reclaim what is rightfully theirs before we return to Nova Locus and offer our services in exchange for a defensive forward base to fight any who would bring war upon anyone else and defend the province and principle of defense itself. In the meantime, let's load up our Mecha with as many modules as you can find on this ship. Raptor out. And then Raptor will open the door. Is Zasha still right there?
The door opens, and Zasha is standing there with her sidearm drawn and in her hand. And she says, "Commander," and then flips it and catches it by the barrel and hands it to you. "I am surrendering myself into your custody."
I don't understand.
My parents, the Neo Dominion, have them both, and my sister and my brother. As long as I am free here, as part of this team, and she says team with a little more sarcasm than you would expect, and we face the Dominion, I am nothing but a liability. There is no future in which I will choose Mattie Jai or Tulip Cho over my parents. And she snaps into a straight salute with her hands behind her back. And so I am remanding myself into your custody.
After a long pause, Mora digesting all of this, analyzing all of this information, Mora takes the sidearm of Zasha and looks at it. And then he looks at Zasha and says, "I trust you can find your way to the brig?"
I believe I can. And she snaps out like the crispest salute, turns on her heel, and down the hallway.
Mora holds the pistol and moves toward the hangar. Probably the first thing Mora would do is just explain to everybody that Paladin Neon is now in the prison aboard the Okami that I just invented aboard the ship, but there's got to be a few cells there or something that perhaps it's comfortable. I don't really know what it looks like, but pretty...
The prison district.
But Zasha has willingly moved into the prison district of the Okami.
All ships have a prison block, obviously.
I gotta say, really quick, out of character, that was like one of the coolest things a character has ever done in a game that I've played in. JB, that was dope.
So, Zasha, you find your way down to... There's a series of small but comfortable holding cells, each with a small porthole-sized window out into space. And as you, I'm assuming, lock yourself inside the cell, and you sit on the small cot in the corner, you can see out the window, and you see the luminescence of the Nidus Nebula beyond the glass. Meanwhile, on the second level of the ship, Mattie, Tulip, and I guess I'll call you Pax now, Paladin 3s, are heading down into the mess. There's a small kitchen, well stocked with non-perishables, as well as a small dining area with a table that has these kind of like, they almost look like two-tiered railings where you can essentially, because the gravity is not quite full, you just kind of float around everywhere. and you can kind of lock yourself into these little railings so you can like sit and not float away while you're eating. So it's like a pretty decent looking little area as you get down there. But what do you three sort of talk about as you get down into the mess?
So once everybody is kind of seated, Pax would pull out the little data pad that he had, and he'd say, when we were back on the station, I did a little digging. I wanted to try to figure out what I could about what was going on, and I found some scraps, some bits and pieces that somebody did a really terrible job getting rid of. But they did point to validate that Tulip's grandmother was the one who worked on the ship. Her name was mentioned several different times. But I think, and he would kind of hesitate, because even just saying this is like giving like Mattie and Tulip a lot of trust. This information would be better if you could solve it very quickly, Mattie, and get us more information. Right now, we're all kind of blind. We don't know what's going on, but this might be a good clue for you to follow.
I definitely thank you for trusting me with this. I will give it a good look. And I wanted to say that Pax, Regael, however you want us to know you, it takes a lot of bravery to take off a mask. I know that I might have made a snide comment here or there, but I think you've done a lot of very cool and amazing and courageous things in these short few days, but none of them compare to that. And there is a certain bit of I kind of understand where you're coming from. My family is also a very prominent family within the Dominion, not quite as pacifistic. In fact, they were very eager to make me a super soldier. I don't know how much they know about this project or how much they've contributed, but I understand. I know that you had to do a lot of hiding, but I hope now you can find the strength and the trust you have for us. As he kind of takes out his hand to take the data.
He would say, you can keep calling me Regael. Pax is probably dead at this point, but the mask was to protect my family's legacy, and he kind of just looks at the ship and says, as you can see, my father kind of ruined that for me. So what's the point of hiding behind a mask now? Nothing to protect.
You're your family's legacy, right? I mean, you decide how you'll be remembered. I mean, I hate everything my family stands for, but I mean, I at least can live every day trying to make sure that they regret ever giving me their last name, so that I get to do my own little I get to leave my own little imprint in their story.
Yeah.
It's now your job. They're dead.
Yeah. But I thought I was dead, to be honest, and I thought I would never have to pick up my name and my title and my family's legacy ever again. When this was all over, I was going to disappear. But now I have to do the hard part of having to live as who I was while being the exact thing I didn't want to taint my name with. You'll have to make hard choices, though.
Let's make a few more. And he takes the data, and he'll go off trying to find some food and get to work while he eats. Or the mods would come first. I don't know, whichever one is most convenient. He just probably at that point he probably just got all that information from from his commander. So, yeah.
Well, I feel like once the commander told them that Zasha was in the brig, Threes would probably immediately make a beeline for the brig.
Threes, you head down to the brig and you see Zasha sitting in one of those cells.
Zasha has, on one shoulder is the Paladins emblem and logo, the patch. And then on the other is the Neo-Dominion logo and patch. And she has since cut it off with her thumbnail and peeled it off. The spacesuit is still on, the gloves are disconnected and off in her lap, crisscross style. And she is sitting there with this patch between her fingers, kind of turning it over in her hands. And she looks out through the porthole and gives the one finger wave.
So, quick question. When the commander told us that she was in the brig, did he tell us why she was on the brig or just that she was there?
Just that she was there.
Okay.
I feel like that'll cause more conflict, but I don't know. It doesn't need to. You choose. You decide.
Ooh, Mora is a messy bitch who loves drama.
Mora, as you say that, Mora spins in the chair that he gave Tulip.
Cut to Mora's talking head where she
Nail polish remover on that Sharpie. No. You know what? Actually, no. Mora would say something like, Zasha turned herself in. You'll have to ask her. Some sort of leading thing like that.
All right. Well, Regael would see that Zasha's cut her thing off, which is clearly very symbolic. But he'd say, Zasha, what is this about? Is this about us not being a part of the Neo-Dominion anymore?
She nods. It's almost detached in a sense, like she's 1,000 parsecs away from this moment and all of this going on. She just nods and she holds up the patch and kind of waves it. It's just this scrap of cloth. And she says, the Neo-Dominion did not take me in like it did you lot. I requested, pulled strings, bribed to get here. That is the difference in all of this. The Neo-Dominion has my parents. They developed this technology, and she's touching the back of her neck. You know it's the thing all of you do when you're thinking about this Geist system. It's almost part of the reflex of our bodies at this point. And she says, I chose to be here. They did not. As long as my parents are in Neo-Dominion custody, I am a weapon to pry you all apart.
I mean, that sounds like a problem with a very straightforward solution.
It is. But if I step foot outside of this brig from this moment until that moment, then you do not have plausible deniability.
I mean, we're already traitors. I don't need plausible deniability.
Neither do I if I leave here. And she says that one a little more sad.
If you have the opportunity to trade us for your family, I think you should take it. But if you just sit in this brig, you're never going to get that opportunity, will you?
Maybe there is a difference between us after all. I trust that you'll get me where I'm going. I always have.
Where are your parents, Zasha?
I am a part of this team. I respect and love you all, even if I could slap Mattie most of the time. I am trying to protect you and them and me, and I don't know. And you see that she's like blinking a little more quickly than you think she has to. Exactly what I can do to keep anyone safe in this moment. So I'm trying what I can, and that means sitting in the fucking brig. And she tosses the patch onto the smooth, polished floor.
And he looks at it and he says, but what if we're attacked by a space dragon and I need someone with a mega laser to keep all the little ones off me? While you're sitting here in this brig.
I pray you do not lock the door, she says.
And he just nods and says, well, you're the one that put yourself in there, so hopefully you know how to get yourself out.
In that moment, you both hear a thunk as the locks seal on the brig. That's something that Mora does remotely from upstairs.
And we are doomed.
Wow. I feel like Mora's like watching it like on audio for that like one moment.
I am here if you need me. But until I can think of a way around this, I don't know where else to be.
Couldn't you just help us, tell us where to go to get your parents? We have literally the most advanced weaponry in the system. It would be so easy to just get them.
I don't know. The last time that I saw them, I think that we were at Fortress Husqvarna. I think that we were at one of those small outposts. But it's been so long. There's no telling where they are. There's no telling if they're even alive. I can't risk it. How? And she's like looking at her hands and like grabs hold of the suit and pulls on it like she doesn't know what to do with anger, with this energy. How can you live like this? You've made it seem so easy to stay in the shadows. You sacrificed who you were for your family for so long.
And he would look at her and say, you put yourself in this brig because you thought it was the right thing to do, because you think it's protecting us. It's the same thing. When you're driven by a single-minded passion, in my case, a much darker kind, you'd be surprised what you're capable of doing without even thinking about yourself. Which is why I think what you're doing is a little dramatic, to say the least. If you want to save your parents, this is the moment to do it. We have no strings now. We're, for the most part, free. You're not a part of the Neo-Dominion. You have nobody who's going to report to someone that you're going against them. We can move like ghosts, and we can find the information of where your parents are. And as a unit, we can get your parents and we can. He like holds back on like the last part he was about to say, and says, "We can get your parents."
She
And
leans forward, like with her hands in this big dramatic gesture, and she says, "The thing about ghosts." And she trails off, and then leans back. "Is they're dead?" And she gets up and she says, "You are a mad genius," and kind of like tries to shuffle and hit the door, like, "Unlock it. If I am dead, they have nothing either. I'm sure that they don't have a count of everyone who died in the attack on our home previously. Maybe we can forge my death."
well, with my resources, I think we can do a lot more than that.
The command station, looking at the view screens and listening in. Mora thinks about Saxifrage's words again, all the way back on Tentacle Base. Are you ready? He presses a button and the blast locks also activate, further locking Zasha in. "No," he says to himself. "I can't trust someone that doesn't trust themselves. Maybe soon." And then he'll calm to Regael and say, "We're going to your home first. I need you to help me with the coordinates."
She kind of looks up, like looking for the camera, and can't see it. It's futuristic. She nods and turns and sits down and just gives a thumbs up to Threes. She has a plan now, and that's why she came here in the first place. And she nods and, "Go. I will be fine."
Threes nods to her and starts to walk back up to the. I'm assuming the commander is still up at the main deck, or the command center, or whatever it's called. That's where he'll go.
Meanwhile, Mattie and Tulip are enjoying a bowl of noodles, saying, "I'm so glad we're back together as a team again. It's so nice. We've come through the woods, but we're here now."
I would add like the visual note that they're sitting cross-legged across from each other on like the chest portion of Paladin Rain, the mech, sharing noodles, like the soft light of the hangar just illuminating them and the machine itself.
What we're doing is we're using sort of the core or some kind of like hot part of the engine or of the mech to basically do a hot pot situation. So we just have some shabu shabu there, and we're just enjoying cooking. There's a full kitchen on this ship, but we figured this out. We figured this out in training not too long ago.
And a hedgehog scrolls between the eyes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, the hedgehog's in prison. No!
There's an entire prison cell dedicated to the hedgehogs that have been misbehaving.
There's a hedgehog in there with a harmonica. There's another one like with a tin can going across.
How long you been here for? What did you do?
Yeah. What do you?
He has harmonicas that's strapped so that they don't need their hands to play it.
Yeah.
Are we in the end credits right now? Is this what's happening?
I think they're happening early.
Sorry.
So while Mattie and Tulip are enjoying these noodles, I think one of you maybe like leans against a switch or something, and all of these panels in the sides of the hangar sort of open up, and all of these like multi-articulated arms with these crazy digits come out and sort of begin like hovering beside the mech, and an automated voice says, "Tinker system active." And you see this like holographic screen come up, and you see that you have like complete control over upgrading and modifying your mech from here with these little arms.
Mattie, did you do that?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Okay, well, kind of. But no, I mean, this is cool. So this shit has some tricks.
And I think would this be happening to all the mechs in every hangar bay, or just ours?
Just yours, but it is a feature present in all of them.
Okay. And yeah, I would say to Mattie, this looks important. If it's part of this ship, this is part of Nan's plan. See you later. She knocks over the noodles.
No!
and like slams the hatch open and just hops into her mech, and it closes behind. And she you can see ever so slightly through the view pane before it like turns to the shade of blue that the armor normally is. Her waving at you before it just shimmers into that blue, almost like the phase shift of Gundam Seed. And she is in her mech and activating this tinker system and starts to go to work. But I will dither to someone else's work while I figure out what that looks like.
And I think we'll handle modifications and whatnot in between sessions. But before we cut to the credits, we get a scene. We cut away and we see that familiar cruiser drifting through the black of space. And on the bridge, we see that other saxifrage standing there, hands clasped behind her back, her uniform crisp. She's staring out at the stars. And an officer comes up behind her. "General, the pilot you requested, ma'am." She breathes a sigh of relief. "I trust you are ready for this assignment, Paladin Warhawk." She turns and there's a pilot standing there with a helmet on. The pilot says, "Ready, ma'am." Reaches up, takes off the helmet and tucks it into the crook of their arm. And as the camera pans up, we see Mora standing there. "Born ready." And that is where we will cut.
He puts a cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah. He smokes because it's cool.
Warhawk is definitely a blunt or a joint type of person, actually.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
I was thinking Sherlock Holmes pipe, but
yeah.
Ooh, like a Gandalf the Grey, sort of.
Very intimidating.
Saxifrage, this will be a night to remember.
He blows
so that's my credit scene, apparently.
Blows a kaiju tyrant smoke
Yeah.
kaiju tyrant smoke
Yeah.
kaiju. What?
Oh, I got the perfect credit scene. It's Zasha up, and there's this circular porthole, like she's looking out, and then suddenly she's spinning, and it fills with water, like she's in a washing machine, and then it shows the credits on the side.
Nice.
Perfect.
You see? Oh, sorry. Are we going?
No, do it. Go for it. Let's
JB,
do
do you want to talk about your channel or whatever while we do this?
Oh, we're signing out. Hello, everyone. My name is Drop the Die. Most of you know me as Drop the Die. I'm also JB. You can find me at Drop the Die on Twitter. It's the best place to learn about all the stuff that I do. Come there. I'm going to be doing a dice giveaway this week.
it. Ooh.
As Drop the Die fades from the credits, you see Barker from Ignite Inspire the Story on Patreon as well as Twitter at Inspire the Barks, and it fades out, and you see again we're on a beach, and there's a fist fight going on between like 50 different saxifrages and 50 different clone Moras, and they're just like yanking at each other's hair and throwing each other around. And then it zooms out, and they're both in like a terrarium, and there are hedgehogs taking notes, looking at their laboratory experiment. And this is just gonna get weirder and weirder every time. But I have to say, one of them's eating noodles, and damn it, again, I need some freaking noodles.
Yeah.
And a chicken sandwich.
And a fried chicken sandwich on
I'm
a
literally
pretzel
ordering chicken
bun.
sandwiches right now.
Can I put noodles on a pretzel bun? Is that a thing
No
that
one is
I
gonna
can
stop
legally
you.
do?
No one is
Yeah, I
gonna
mean,
stop you.
I'm calling the
That's true.
cops, but yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't.
911. What's your emergency? This guy's putting noodles on a pretzel roll.
We'll be right there.
They're like, we have a 922. I don't know. They have a code for some.
They have a code for putting noodles on a pretzel bun.
We got a noodle bun.
We got a noodle bun situation. God. Okay. Aaron, go ahead.
Sure. So the end credits scene is Mattie. Well, so we see. Well, actually, what we see first is we see the like almost what's the word? Like a Vatican-esque fresco of all of the mechas like doing sort of different poses. They're sort of they're like little cherubs, and they've got this for some reason they still have like loincloths or whatever on them. And then this pans down into a grand, elegant ballroom, Beauty and the Beast style. And we do this and it's the only time they're using this like computer generated animation for this for this one episode. And they're just panning all around, and there are candles lit, and nobody else is there. And then all of a sudden these big doors open up, and it's Mattie in full ball gown. And he enters in, and he walks through. There's this big, layers and layers of like purple fabrics, just ruffles everywhere. And then he walks towards Saxifrage, who is fully in a suit and a tuxedo. And then they like do a ballroom dance, like a waltz across this really polished floor. They spin and they spin and they spin until they turn into like a galaxy or something, and that's that's the that's the end credits sequence there.
Absolutely sublime. I love it.
And I'm Aaron. Go to my Twitter at Aaron DVS AARON DVS, and yeah, thank you everyone for joining me. What a great session, and lots of love to everybody who played and who ran it. Thank you so much, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, John's phone died, so I'm gonna have to do his scene.
Unbelievable.
Oh God, everything just broke.
It's
The
the
world
last gift.
just broke. Okay, so Regael is like he's in the hangar, and he takes off his mask and like lets it float away in the gravity, and then he looks up, and his mech is also reaching up and taking off its mask, and it has like a cute like chibi like super deformed face, and it's like quitting. It like gives a little like it like gives a little victory sign, and Regael like goes and like scratches the back of his head a bunch for some reason, and then that's just it. I'm not very good at this.
That was
But
amazing.
I know you should go check out Faulty Doombot on Doombot Gaming on Facebook. That's where John does a lot of streaming and stuff, so definitely go check that out. And all right, Matt, you're like half in, half out here. We're just gonna roll with it. Just like
I'm down.
to the
I'm
side.
down
and
with
you should
this.
be good.
This
Yeah.
OBS.
You and JB are currently sharing a box. You're getting real snuggly up in that three's cockpit. So
Oh,
Put
hey.
this fire in between them.
there's fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. One sec.
There you go.
As Regael scratches the back of his head, the dandruff flies into the ether and becomes stars in the sky, and those stars become little pinpricks of pepper in the noodle soup before it's cast off the mecha while Mattie and Tulip are enjoying their dinner together. This sad spiraling bowl of noodles hits the ground, and the noodles are cascaded on the hangar floor. The noodles themselves start to transform into the Paladins, and they start to transform into the Paladins, having very dramatic moments with each other on the bridge of the Okami, and ultimately culminate with all of them just rushing forward, and the broth is going and the Okami is going, and it's just a noodle wave that all started with the dandruff of Regael. So
Man.
yeah, that's my credit scene. Not as sharp as the last, but you know what? There's a hedgehog somewhere in there.
Yeah, the hedgehog is surfing on the noodle wave.
Surfing on the
Oh,
noodle
God.
wave.
Yeah,
Agree
there
to
we go.
disagree, not as sharp as the last. Agree to disagree.
So tonight was an absolute disaster, and I had a blast. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
It was my favorite
Yeah.
disasters
Yes,
was fun.
of them all.
We're gonna be playing again here in 2 weeks, so definitely tune in for that. Actually, I might be on vacation in 2 weeks. Hang on, we'll talk in the chat after this.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, take care, everyone. Tune in next time, whenever that may be, and we'll see you next time on Mecha Hack Paladins. I almost forgot what this was called. Bye-bye.
Gundam.